Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Vagina Healing Podcast. My name is Akira, and I'm a dietitian that has healed myself twice from recurring vaginal infections. Both times it was naturally with no medications, just nutrition. And I also utilized my mindset because medications were not working for me, and doctors also were not helping me. And so now I free women from the same chronic vaginal infection cycle that I dealt with by teaching them what I know in order to help them heal. So today's episode was inspired by a question I got on Threads, and if you don't follow me on TikTok or on Threads, I recently announced that in order to better help as many women as possible with less burnout for myself, the questions that I get on social media or in my DMs, I'm going to be answering them either in like a Q&A style episode where I'm answering multiple questions in one episode, or if I feel like if one question deserves a whole episode, I would do that. Or I would also answer these questions in TikTok videos because number one, as a dietitian, I am registered by the state. I am not legally allowed to give medical advice in DMs. It can be harmful for you and it can be harmful for me, and I can lose my license. That's one. Two, because I get so many DMs from so many different women that have different stories, and sometimes these DMs can be long and they can require a lot of mental effort and thinking. It's hard for me to keep up with that every single day, all day long, on top of my other responsibilities like my job and my business and things like that. So I don't want to dismiss women by telling them to just go to my services or go to my programs, because I was doing that for a little bit, not dismissing them, but I was telling them, thank you for messaging me, but I would prefer that you book one of my services or my programs or check out my free resources. But it felt very dismissive on my end, and I don't like women to feel like, oh, she's just trying to sell me something, because that's not the case. It's a matter of trying to condense my energy into certain channels so that I'm not giving it out all over the place. And so as a professional, it's really important that I set up systems to help as many people as possible, to reach as many people as possible, while also conserving my energy so that I can continue producing more content and more education for everybody. So with that being said, moving forward, if you DM me with any questions, if I get an email with any questions, I'm either going to answer it in a Q&A style on my podcast or on my TikTok page, or I will also answer it in my Patreon, which is my microbiome monthly membership, the microbiome makeover, which is my monthly membership. So that's just it moving forward. So this episode, like I told you guys, was inspired by a question I got on Threads. And on Threads, I had created a post talking about answering another person's question, but then someone responded, and this is basically the question that they asked. So this person said, wow, I've been learning different timing for herbs, and that post was enlightening. I know there's a few herbs that should be used for no more than 7 days in a row, depending on the usage and dosage. But what are some bacterial remedies with herbs? Would it be in the oregano family and others like yellow dock? Thank you. So I've always wanted to make an episode on herbs, so this is like a really good time for me. So before I even continue, just so you guys are aware, I am not an herbalist at all. If anything, I'm more of like a kitchen herbalist, as in like it was brought up in my family and I was raised to use herbs. So I know the basics of herbs, but I've only taken one course on herbs and it was focused on adaptogens. I'm not a clinical herbalist. I'm not like a full-blown herbalist or anything like that. I do know a few herbalists, and so we'll talk about that at the ending of the podcast. But I'm a dietitian, so that's where my knowledge is on nutrition. But because I use herbs in my practice and in myself, and I grew up with herbs, I like to incorporate herbs into what I'm doing because I have a good amount of knowledge to talk on the basics of it. So I'm not going to go into too much details, but just keeping it very basic. So, most women are trying to fix their vaginal health by attacking the symptoms alone, but your body usually does not need force, it needs support. And so, the way people approach trying to heal their bodies, it's either very forceful or it's in a way where it's not doing what they think they're doing and it's only kind of just trying to mask the symptoms. Something else I wanted to say about this, and also, it has to do with your lifestyle and other factors too. So herbs don't just work by themselves; they also work in combination with lifestyle, with your diet, and stuff like that. So I'm going to simplify herbs today into a system your body actually understands, and to break this down so that it's easy for me to explain, and also for you guys to digest. And so, when you think about using herbs for your body, you basically want to think about, especially for recurring vaginal infections or any imbalances in your body, any diseases in your body, any health issues. If you want to incorporate herbs, you have to look at it from this standpoint, which can be easier for you. There's other standpoints as well. I'm keeping it basic. So you can look for herbs that help to defend, herbs that help to nourish, and herbs that help to adapt. So when you focus on defending herbs, nourishing herb, and herbs that help you to adapt, this can target your whole entire body as one system and can bring your body back into equilibrium. So, what are herbs? So, herbs are basically botanical medicine, right? So, herbs are plants that come from the earth. We have herbs that we cook with. We have herbs that you make with that you make teas with. But herbs work with the body and not against it. And so they're multi-compound and they're not single isolate like drugs. So when I say herbs are multi-compound, I mean that they contain hundreds of naturally occurring plant chemicals like polyphenols, flavonoids, alkaloids, and minerals, which are all really supportive for the body to support your immune system and overall health and to reduce inflammation. And so they work synergistically together instead of medications where they work as one isolated active ingredient doing one job, and medications are typically just masking the symptoms and not healing the roots. Herbs influence multiple systems in your body at the same time, like inflammation, hormones, digestion, the microbiome. So medications usually focus on one thing. Some medications can overlap and focus on other things, like for example, GLP-1s can be used for diabetes and weight loss. But like sometimes being overweight can be linked to diabetes, but that's a whole different topic. But herbs can target your whole entire body and multiple systems in your body. That's what makes them unique. The only thing is that because we live in a fast-paced society where people are often craving fast relief, quick dopamine fixes, um, and they want to see results fast, most people resort to medications because medications can give you instant relief and faster results. Herbs are kind of a slow burning build. So herbs, they work over time with consistent use. So they're not meant for a quick instant fix. Can some herbs give a quick instant fix? Yes, but most times herbs are going to work over time, long term, when used consistently, usually in small doses as like a compound effect type of thing. So, herbs are actually the foundation of the pharmaceutical industry and pharmacology in general, and they're used as the basis of medication. So, pharmacology didn't just start in a lab, they started with plants first. So, for example, aspirin was derived from a plant called willow bark, which is known to be a really powerful natural pain medication or a pain alleviation herb. So, it can be used for period cramps. I tried willow bark many, many, many years ago, back when I was in middle school, so I don't really remember how well it worked for me. And metformin, which is a common diabetes drug and PCOS drug, was inspired and used based off of an herb called the French lilac. So lots of common medications these days were used not used, but they were inspired or created on the basis of herbs. So if you're wondering if herbs have any validity, that should give you enough validity as it is. And the reason why, so I actually listened to another podcast episode talking about the dark history of the reproductive health system and care in America. And basically, back in the day, not widows, oh my gosh, midwives and herbalists and healers were the main people that were healing people in the community, and they were women. And so, as men started to dominate the medical space, particularly white men, started to dominate the medical space, and they wanted to basically get rid of the women that were healers and herbalists and also midwives because they viewed them as a threat to them being medical practitioners. So they basically started banning these practices. They started banning the women from doing these things, and over time these practices died out. The tradition of using herbs died out, and medicine and pharmacy and Western medicine doctors became more prevalent and became the most trusted source in society because of basically colonization and also men back in the day just trying to do typical men shit and take over. And I'm referring to back in the day, take over and dominate the space. And so over time, a lot of people lost touch with their roots, which was really integrated in herbs and using natural healing and using the earth to heal your body. And so As Western medicine and doctors and medication became more prevalent, people started putting their trust more towards that, and there became a stigma around herbs and around natural healing because now it's viewed as a woo-woo thing, it's viewed as quack, it's viewed as pseudoscience, it's not real, there's no validity, there's no science behind it. When in reality, herbs were the first medicine that were available to help heal people. And on top of that, medications are derived from herbs for the most part. And so it's really important to keep that in mind whenever you hear people saying that herbs have no validity or no background. And also keep in mind that herbs are used in many different cultures till this day. In lots of African cultures, Caribbean people are very big on herbs. Asian culture and like traditional Chinese medicine, Ayurvedic medicine, which is Indian medicine. So herbs are still widely used for healing in many parts of the world. Just in Western medicine, it's kind of viewed as a kind of pseudoscience sometimes if you're not knowledgeable on it. So please keep that in mind as we continue going into this episode. Something else I wanted to mention about herbs, but if it'll come back to me within the rest of the episode. So, something that's really cool about herbs is that herbs can count towards your plant diversity. So, science and studies show that your gut health thrives on 30 different plants a week, 30 different plus plants a week, which means that you should be getting 30 different fruits, veggies, grains, legumes, and nuts slash seeds per week. And while this may sound overwhelming at first, it's not as bad as you think. Because, for example, if you were to buy one different fruit for each day of the week, that's 7 different plants. If you were to buy 2 different frozen veggie bags that have 3 to 4 different veggies in those frozen bags, now you have 9 to 12 different plants in those vegetable bags. If you were to do grain mixes, like maybe you do like a tricolored quinoa mix, or maybe you have a not lentils, sorry, like maybe you do brown rice versus purple rice versus wild rice, or maybe you're doing different grains like barley, millet, farro, amaranth, steel cut oats. These all count towards different plant diversity in your diet. Then when it comes to legumes, if you do like a 10 bean mix or a lentil mix or chickpeas or different kind of peas in your diet, these all count towards plant diversity. So it can be really easy for you to actually get 30 plants within like 2 to 3 days, depending on like how you're cooking and what you're cooking with. And also herbs count towards your plant diversity. So herbs like garlic, thyme, dill, um, oregano, and also herbs for teas like maca root, shatavari root, which I'm going to be talking about these herbs later in the episode. Cinnamon, these all count towards your plant diversity. So for me, I know that I'm getting way over 30 plants in a week because I consume like 5 different herbs every single day, maybe more than that. I do raspberry leaf, holy basil, and nettle every single day. I do Ceylon cinnamon every day in my spearmint tea. So I do spearmint tea as well every day. I also have shatavari root and maca root. I have yellow dock, and I also have ginseng. And I use lots of vegetables and different fruits on a weekly basis. And nuts and seeds also count towards the plant diversity as well. So if you do like a nut mix or a seed mix, every seed, every nut is a different plant. So it's really easy for you to get 30 different plants in a week. It just requires you being intentional, being consistent, and also just those 2 things honestly. So herbs are basically concentrated plant inputs. So they can be very concentrated in small amounts. So small amounts go a long way and can really have a compounding effect in your body. So for me, on a daily basis, when I put maca root and shatavari root in my yogurt with my chia seeds, I use only a quarter teaspoon of the maca and of the shatavari root. I know over time it's going to continuously compound in my body and give me that effect that I'm looking for. And so when you add herbs into your routine, whether you do it in teas, powders, tinctures, you're not just targeting symptoms, you're also increasing the diversity of plant compounds entering your gut, which directly supports your microbial diversity, meaning that it diversifies the good bacteria in your gut. It feeds the good bacteria in your gut. And when you can support and nourish the good bacteria, you can decrease the bad bacteria. You don't want to decrease the bad bacteria altogether because then that can cause too much good bacteria and that can cause issues. You want there to be a balance. And so herbs can really help with supporting that by adding in more plant diversity, which plant diversity also supports a healthy immune system. It can support your gut to skin axis, your gut to vagina axis. So it all everything is all linked and they all play a role together. And so the more diverse and stable your gut microbiome is, the easier it is to maintain a lactobacillus dominant vaginal environment, which is what you need because your vagina is dominated by lactobacillus, and it requires that in order to prevent recurring vaginal infections. So now for the delivery methods of these herbs. So herbs can be consumed as a tea, a tincture, or capsules slash powders. So teas are gentle, they're very easy to incorporate. The warm fluids can also help with your digestion. It can help get things moving for you. They're also mineral rich and they provide daily support. And teas, particularly when they're infused overnight, meaning that they've been steeped overnight, can actually be really high, even higher in nutrients than you steeping it for a few minutes before actually drinking it. So, for example, teas like raspberry leaf and nettle leaf are great as overnight infusions because it allows for more nutrients to be extracted from these herbs overnight. Something else that's also important to keep in mind is that tea bags can be used up to 3 times before throwing them away. So a lot of people will use a tea bag once and throw it away, but I actually encourage my clients to try to use it at least 3 times before throwing it away to really get the full benefit of the tea bag and also to save you money in the long run because it can make your tea last longer. Something else that's also important to keep in mind is that when you do steep teas, you want to cover it for at least 5 minutes so that the oils that are being when you leave your tea uncovered, there's oils in the tea that can be basically evaporated into the air and you can lose some of the nutrients from the tea. So it's best to cover your tea while it's steeping for at least 3 to 5 minutes before actually drinking it. So keep that in mind. Then you have tinctures. So tinctures are liquids, and so these are more concentrated and they typically are more fast acting. So they're meant to hit your bloodstream faster for a faster result. So typically tinctures may include a little bit of alcohol in it so that it reaches your bloodstream faster. And they typically will require it to be under your tongue or sometimes on top of your tongue, depending on the kind of tincture. But that's just basically what a tincture is. So for example, if you want a fast relief from anxiety, a holy basil tincture can be helpful versus doing holy basil in a tea form. Then you have capsules and powders. These can just be convenient and they can support higher dosing, specifically capsules, because it can tell you how many milligrams you're getting in that specific capsule. Something to keep in mind with capsules, though, that sometimes when you are buying herbal capsules, it'll tell you it has a proprietary blend, which means that it's a blend of all the herbs, which means that you don't know how much milligrams you're getting of each herb. So you may think you're getting a turmeric capsule, but if it says proprietary blend and it has turmeric, it has ginger, it has cinnamon, you have no idea how much of each of those ingredients specifically you are getting in that capsule. So keep that in mind as well. So the form you choose changes how the herb behaves in your body. So tinctures are for fast acting, teas are for more so daily compound effect over time, and then capsules are just convenient and they also provide higher dosing. So now with the vaginal microbiome, so as I told you guys before, the vaginal microbiome thrives on lactobacillus dominans. Lactobacillus is a good bacteria we need to keep our vaginal acidity between 3.8 to 4.5 in order to fight off and prevent not only opportunistic microbes like Gardnerella that can cause BV or Candida that can cause yeast infections, but also foreign microbes like STDs and STIs. So the acidic pH protects your vagina, and so when you have a disruption in your pH, then you have a disruption in the lactobacillus dominans, and your vagina can become more alkaline, and that can lead to infections and imbalance. Or your vagina can become too acidic, and that can lead to CV, which is cytolytic vaginosis. So everything we're talking about supports either the environment, the microbes, or the system that regulate both for long-term healing. So now when it comes to the 3 pillars I was telling you guys about in the beginning of the episode, which is to nourish, defend, and adapt. First, we're going to go over the nourish part. So nourishing herbs are the foundation because these don't fix the problems. They make your body harder to break. So it makes it harder for your body to come out of balance so that you don't get infections to begin with. So nourishing herbs can help to support tissues, mineral replenishment, and also mucosal health to prevent your body from going out of whack to begin with. And so some notes I have from the course that I took, and also from my own personal knowledge on nourishing herbs that are really important for women's health, but particularly vaginal health. Number one, you have raspberry leaf, which is best consumed as an overnight infusion. It's one of the best uterine tonics, and the benefits of raspberry leaf is that it supports your uterine muscle tone. It may reduce heavy bleeding, especially with your period and also during labor. So, raspberry leaf tea is often consumed um, I believe so. Double check this for sure, but I'm pretty sure raspberry leaf is either consumed in the third trimester or throughout pregnancy. I can't remember which one it is, but double check that for sure. And so raspberry leaf is great for pregnancy. It's great for labor and delivery outcomes. It's really high in minerals like magnesium and iron that can support your nervous system and support iron deficiency anemia. It also helps to regulate your menstrual cycles, and it's great for painful, heavy periods. So I drink raspberry leaf tea every single day. It tastes really good. So keep that in mind with raspberry leaf. Then you have nettle tea. And nettle tea is also great consumed as an overnight infusion. And nettle tea is also really high in iron. So for my clients who deal with iron deficiency, I always recommend nettle tea with maybe a lemon slice and a tablespoon of blackstrap molasses for even more iron. But it's really helpful for iron and also for inflammatory skin patterns. So it's high in that. It's also high in other minerals. It supports red blood cell production. It's anti-inflammatory, and it can support kidney and lymphatic drainage. And it's also used for fatigue related to iron deficiency anemia. And nettle is also really great for seasonal allergies. So when consumed over time consistently, it can help with that. And nettle is oftentimes combined with another herb called oat straw, which is also really great for your nervous system. And oat straw is also really high in magnesium as well. So if you deal with nervous system regulation issues, dysregulation such as anxiety, depression, anything like that, these herbs can help with regulating it because they're high in minerals, particularly iron and magnesium as well. So these are the two nourishing herbs that I have in my notes. So I'm going to talk on what I mainly use and what I find to be the most helpful. Of course, there's other nourishing herbs as well, but look into that for yourself so you can see what aligns with what you're looking for. So those two in itself can help your womb enough to prevent it from going out of whack. Um, but of course, there's other herbs as well. Well, three herbs technically. It was oat the nettle, and then the raspberry leaf tea. Now, when it comes to the defending herbs, so these herbs are the ones that are mainly used by women trying to heal reoccurring vaginal infection because they see online and they know that if I heal this, not if I heal this, if I use this, it's going to kill off the infection that I have. But it's not as simple as it looks because what people don't realize is that these herbs, whether it's antimicrobial, antifungal, antibacterial, antiviral, they don't only get rid of the bad bacteria or the bad microbes, they also get rid of the good ones as well because differentiate between what's good and what's bad. All it sees is bacteria, um, viruses, fungi, whatever, and it just kills everything. So over time, when taking these herbs that can defend your immune system, it can actually kill off your good bacteria as well. So some of the common ones include garlic for yeast infections because it's antifungal, oregano for yeast infections and for BV, golden seal for um, antiviral, antibacterial, antifungal. And so these are great for your immune system, yes, but they can also kill good bacteria as well. So garlic is best consumed fresh, crushed, and letting it sit for a little bit to release the allicin in it. It can also help with alleviating overnight cold and flu. And I recommend fresh raw garlic, not chopped garlic and not garlic powder. You can still use garlic powder, but if you're looking for the actual benefits, it's fresh garlic that you're going to get it from. And so garlic is really helpful. Oregano is really helpful, but oregano should not be consumed for more than 30 days because it can act as an antibiotic and wipe away good and bad bacteria. And same thing with golden seal. So with my clients who, when we use these herbs for them, I typically tell them don't do oregano for more than 30 days. Garlic, it's commonly used in food regardless, but when you're using it intentionally for vaginal infections, you don't want to overdo anything. So those can be helpful for like acute defense, as in like immediate bacteria killing. But again, you don't want to kill your good bacteria. You want to kill the bad bacteria, which is the opportunistic or the foreign microbes, are also building on your good bacteria at the same time. Then, when it comes to soothing the fan, so these are herbs that can help to soothe the vaginal tissue, your vaginal vulva area in general. So you have a calendula and you also have aloe vera. So when I was dealing with recurring vaginal infections, my vaginal area was so raw and irritated, especially when I would use pads, my skin would be peeling down there because it was so inflamed. So I would use a calendula balm to rub the area, not the area where the hair doesn't grow, but the skin area, like the vulva area, the creases and stuff to help with soothing it so that I wasn't so inflamed all the time. I'm I'm possibly going to be having a guest speaker on here that has calendula bombs in that she sells. So that can be something to look out for in the future. But calendula is really great for soothing your skin. It's also an herb that can be consumed by drinking it. So I used to have calendula herb. It looks like dandelion a little bit, but not really. But it's a really great herb for that, and it also can help with vaginal odor when consumed over time as well. Then you have aloe vera, which you guys all know aloe vera is really great for skin health and for burns and soothing inflammation. So aloe vera on your skin specifically can help to soothe any inflammation that's caused by recurring vaginal infections. I don't encourage or recommend you putting anything up your vagina. I'm referring to the skin area. When I was healing my vagina and I was using boric acid for biofilm support, I used the Azo boric acid brand that had aloe vera in it actually. And there's a brand I know of called Mavocare, MAVO, and their boric acid actually has calendula in it as well. So those are ways that you can have it inside you through boric acid without you just putting it up in your vagina without any kind of context or guidance or anything like that. So again, keep in mind that this can disrupt your good bacteria. So you always have to follow up with these kind of herbs with repopulation of good bacteria. So if you're going to be using garlic consistently, intentionally for your infections, or oregano, golden seal, or any kind of immune boosting or supportive herbs, or even like calendula and aloe, you want to basically be following up with probiotics 2 hours afterwards, in the form of food or supplement form. So the next group of herbs I'm going to go over are herbs that support your drainage pathway. So these are basically herbs that support detox and systemic support. When I say detox, I'm not referring to you detoxing your body with herbs or doing that, because the body can detox itself with your organs, like oh my gosh, your kidneys, your liver, stuff like that. But there are herbs that can support these systems to help it work more effectively, because oftentimes your liver can be sluggish, your kidney can be sluggish, and that can lead to a backup of toxins, which can lead to you dealing with systemic inflammation and imbalances in your body. So, with supporting your drainage pathways, you want to look at supporting your liver, your gut, and your lymph through herbs. So, your liver plays a really big role in detoxing your hormones. So, if your liver is sluggish, it can lead to hormonal imbalances, which can lead to skin issues, PMS, hormonal imbalances, and recurring vaginal infections and gut health issues. Your gut plays a role in eliminations. When your gut is backed up with waste because you're constipated and not going to the bathroom every single day, or maybe if you are going to the bathroom every single day, but you're not eliminating fully and you're having type 1 stools, you can be backed up and harboring toxins and hormones in your gut, and that can be leading to more recurring vaginal infections as well. Then you have your lymph fluid, which is basically a part of your lymphatic system. Your lymphatic system is basically a detox pathway you have in your body that gets rid of excess waste. So your lymphatic system works based off of how much you're moving your body, which is why exercise is really important. Walking is really important. Stretching and lymphatic drainage is really important. And so if your lymph is really thick and it's sluggish because you're not drinking enough water, you're not moving enough, this can cause you to have recurring vaginal infection, because if your drainage pathways are blocked or sluggish, your symptoms will keep coming back. So herbs that can actually help with supporting your drainage pathways include dandelion root, which, yes, this is referring to the dandelion that you see as weeds growing in your yard. Dandelion is actually an edible plant that you can actually eat from the ground. The only issue is that oftentimes people are putting pesticides in their grass. So you oftentimes cannot just eat dandelion from the ground unless it's in a controlled area that's natural, no pesticides. But that same dandelion is used to make dandelion tea. So you can get dandelion tea in the store, and that really supports your blood health. It supports your liver health. It supports your kidney health. It supports your drainage pathways overall. And it also acts as a mild bitter, which we'll talk about bitters. I think I have notes on bitters somewhere in here for sure. But I have other episodes on bitters as well. And I also have if I have an episode on here on constipation, it's going to be talking about bitters. And I do have an episode on that. Never mind. So yeah, on the constipation episode, I go over what bitters are, and also I have a constipation video on YouTube in my gut healing playlist on the impacts of bitters, particularly for your gut health, for alleviating constipation, and for healing it from the root. And so dandelion, burdock, and yellow dog can all act as gentle bitters. So burdock root is also really great for your liver and your kidneys, and for supporting skin health and for supporting your drainage pathways. And you also have yellow dock, which I consume yellow dock every single morning, first thing on an empty stomach, to help support my gut with me going to the bathroom every single day and to add more plant diversity into my diet. And because yellow dock is really bitter, so it acts as a bitter herb. And bitter herbs can basically act as prokinetics, meaning that they help to sweep undigested food from your stomach into your small intestine by keeping things moving, because bitter stimulate your enzyme production, it stimulates your stomach acid production, it stimulates your bile flow. So it basically helps to turn on your digestive system and to make it run more efficiently versus you not having bitters or bitter food in your diet at all. So I do yellow dog powder every single morning mixed with ginseng and some warm water. Then I follow up with spearmint tea that has cinnamon in it. And then I eat my fruit bowl, and then I have yogurt. So that's kind of like my daily routine for myself. So dandelion, burdock, and yellow dock support your livers and your kidneys. Also want to mention milk thistle as well. Milk thistle is a herb that is known for supporting kidney health. And I like milk thistle because it also tastes really good. I actually did a project on milk thistle back in undergrad. So it is a really great herb to consume. Now, when it comes to adaptogen herbs, so I took a course on adaptogens, and so adaptogens help the body to adapt to stress. So they help to regulate the stress response in your body, and they can also help to support your hormones by bringing your body back into equilibrium. So, adaptogens target your nervous system and they target multiple systems in your body. And they target it by, if your body and your system is in balance in any way, adaptogens over time help to bring it back into balance. So, if something is too high, adaptogens help to bring it back down to equilibrium. If something is too low, it can help to bring it back up to normal levels. So, you cannot heal your vagina in a stressed body, or you can, but it may take you way longer and it may be way harder. So the less stressed your body is, the more regulated it is, the easier it's going to be to heal your vagina. And so with adaptogens, over time, they help your body, they help your stress response, and they help to keep you in a stable place, nervous system wise. So it's also cool about adaptogens is that they don't just help with stress, they can indirectly support your microbiome, including your lactobacillus levels. So incorporating adaptogens into your diet on a day-to-day basis can actually support lactobacillus growth in your gut, which would then support lactobacillus growth in your vaginal microbiome, which I'm pretty sure can also support bifidobacterium growth as well. And so keep that in mind. And also adaptogens, some of them can act as prebiotics, which we know prebiotics feed probiotics. I have an episode on probiotics already. So check that out. But for example, so to, well, not example, but to explain this more simply, so chronic stress, as we know, can raise your cortisol. High cortisol can disrupt your gut microbiome, your vaginal microbiome, and it cause low grade inflammation in your body. It can also cause high blood sugar. And so with this, adaptogens can help to regulate all of this by regulating the HPA axis. So by using adaptogens to lower stress and improve your nervous system regulation, it can help to create an internal environment where beneficial bacteria lactobacillus can actually thrive and they're not killed off by stress. And so adaptogens are really, really, really cool herbs that you can incorporate into your daily routine. And some adaptogens have also been shown to support gut barrier integrity, reduce inflammation, and improve microbial balance, all which feeds back into vaginal health. So for me, the ones that I use in my routine daily are holy basil, shatavari root, and maca root, and ginseng. Those are all different kinds of adaptogens, and there's way more than that, of course, but those are the ones that I use targeted for my own personal health goals. So to go over some notes I have from the course I took on adaptogens, you have holy basil, also known as tulsi. Holy basil is a really good choice for quote unquote heat in the body, as referred to in traditional Chinese medicine, which can often manifest as acne or hidradenitis or other inflammatory conditions in the body. So holy basil is anti-inflammatory and antimicrobial, so it can help to calm down inflammation in your body that can drive skin flare-ups and other issues as well. It can also help to regulate the HPA axis, which is your stress response, without being overly sedative, and it can make it great, which makes it great for ideal daily use. So I use holy basil every single day, combined with my nettle and raspberry leaf tea and overnight infusion. So it's great for regulating the stress hormone inflammation loop. So it regulates cortisol. It's anti-inflammatory. It supports blood sugar balance. It helps reduce acne triggers tied to stress, and it's great for improving hormonal balance. And it's also really high in B6, which can be great for supporting you during your luteal phase. And it also tastes really well with the ginger. So holy basil I used to use when I was studying for my exam when I was really stressed, and it works really, really, really well. So keep that in mind. Then we have maca root, which is more of a hormonal adaptogen and also an endocrine modulator. So maca root supports energy metabolism. It can help to balance your estrogen and progesterone. So if you deal with any imbalances there, maca root over time can help with that. It can reduce menstrual symptoms. It's really great for your libido and for sexual health and performance as well. And it's great for people who have fast metabolisms that burn through nutrients quickly. It's also supportive for iron related fatigue as well. So I do maca root powder every day in my yogurt. I do a quarter teaspoon combined with a quarter teaspoon of shatavari root. You also have schisandra berry, so I add that to my water every single day, and it's one of the few adaptogens that supports all five organ symptoms, specifically the liver and the digestive tract. So why it works is that it supports phase one and phase two of liver detoxification, and for skin issues and heavy periods, it ensures that the liver is efficiently processing excess estrogen, which is critical for helping with estrogen dominant conditions like fibroids, PCOS, endometriosis, and also hormonal acne and PMS and stuff like that. So it has an equilibrium factor to it, so it is known to help astringe or move fluids, which may be helpful for those dealing with drainage issues associated with hidradenitis or having just like a poor drainage system in general. It supports liver detox and bile production. It improves nutrient absorption and digestion. It can help to regulate the HPA axis. It's anti-inflammatory. It can also support the gut-brain axis and microbiome health. It's one of the best adaptogens for digestion, liver, and your hormones. It enhances stress resilience, supports skin and hormonal balance, and for someone with digestive issues and skin inflammation, it's a very strategic adaptogen as well. Then you have shatavari root, which is actually a very interesting herb because it's known as the queen of herbs for female hormonal health, and it's really popular in Ayurvedic medicine, and it's deeply nourishing. So shatavari root is a highly demulcent, basically a moistening herb, which can be soothing if the digestive tract is irritated from low stomach acid or enzyme deficiencies. It also specifically targets the female reproductive system to balance heavy flow and reduce the spasmodic pain of hot or inflammatory periods, meaning it can help with reducing period cramps over time. And the word Shadavari actually translates to she who possesses 100 husbands, which reflects its traditional use as a female reproductive tonic. This is from my course, but its implications extend far beyond reproductive health as a rasayana, which is some type of term that they use in Ayurvedic medicine. Shatavari supports hormonal equilibrium, immune function, digestive resilience, especially during life transitions such as puberty, pregnancy, and menopause. Its cooling and demulcent properties make it ideal for restoring depleted systems that have been overstimulated by stress, inflammation, or excessive heat, both literally and metaphorically. Modern phytochemical analysis reveals that shatavari contains saponins, flavonoids, and phytoestrogens that help to modulate hormone balance and reduce oxidative stress, aligning perfectly with its classification as a systemic rejuvenator. So, shatavari root can basically target your reproductive system as a whole and really help with supporting reproductive hormonal balance, nourishing the female tissues, reducing menstrual inflammation, supporting mucosal tissue health, and for cycle support and overall hormonal equilibrium. So it's really, really, really great. I consume the shatavari root. Again, like I told you guys, in the quarter teaspoon I have in my yogurt with the maca root. Both have a very nutty kind of taste. So it doesn't really provide much of a taste difference in my yogurt because I'm only using a quarter teaspoon. Then you have chaste tree berry, which chaste tree berry is one of the most clinically validated botanicals for supporting menstrual health, specifically with PMS, luteal phase deficiency, mild cycle irregularity. So its mechanism of action is via the hypothalamic pituitary gonadal axis, which helps to modulate pituitary secretion of prolactin, a hormone that, when elevated, can disrupt your normal ovulation. It can help to support a shortened luteal phase. It can help to reduce PMS symptoms like breast tenderness, mood swings, and bloating. Looking what else in my notes is worth me talking about. So, chaste tree berry helps by increasing dopaminergic tone at the pituitary level. I don't know what that means, but in turn, it helps to reduce prolactin secretion and allows for more balanced progesterone levels in the second half of the cycle. There was a double blind placebo control study that was published in the British Medical Journal with women taking Vitex, which is another name for Chass tree berry, I keep thinking tea tree. Women taking it for 3 consecutive cycles experienced significant reductions in irritability, breast pain, mood swings, and bloating compared to the placebo. And improvements were most notable in the luteal phase, which is the phase before your period. So it shows that um, Vitex is known to support the corpus luteum function and progesterone synthesis. And beyond its effects on prolactin, it's also helpful for modulating the levels of estrogen and progesterone by enhancing ovulatory consistency. With women that have oligomenorrhea or amenorrhea, these words are so complex, due to mild HPG axis disruption, Vitex has been shown to restore the irregularity, promote ovulation, support more stable hormonal fluctuations, as seen in PCOS, adolescents, perimenopausal women. Um, and it's also recommended to be introduced in low to moderate doses, so typically 150 to 250 milligrams a day taken in the morning, as that aligns more with the natural circadian rhythm of prolactin production. It may take around 2 to 3 full menstrual cycles to see the peak benefits, as hormonal calibration can require time. During this period, you can track your symptoms with a cycle journal or an app that can help you to observe trends and progress. Um, and it's also just helps to support your menstrual cycle in general. And so, for example, combining it with B6, magnesium, and calcium may enhance its efficacy in PMS. It can also be used alongside adaptogens such as ashwagandha or holy basil in clients whose PMS is exacerbated by stress or HPA axis dysregulation. So from a safety standpoint, Vitex is generally well tolerated. Some mild common side effects include mild gastrointestinal upset or skin sensitivities, but that's really rare. Otherwise, it's not recommended during pregnancy, but either way, that's a really great herb that you can also incorporate. Then you have ginseng, which ginseng is really great for energy. It's really great for your libido. It's really great for sexual enhancement and performance. And it also exhibits antimicrobial properties against pathogenic strains such as Staphylococcus aureus or E. coli or H. pylori, which, if you deal with aerobic vaginitis, this can be really helpful because aerobic vaginitis can come from aerobic bacteria or microbes. So this specific herb can actually help with protecting against pathogenic strains while also leaving your good bacteria intact. So it does not wipe away your good bacteria. So it has selective antimicrobial activity, which makes it great and valuable in managing vaginal dysbiosis or preventing opportunistic overgrowth after travel, illness, or antibiotic use. And for clients who have some gut imbalances or systemic symptoms such as fatigue, skin issues, or PMS, this can provide gentle microbiome recalibration without the harshness of antimicrobial botanicals like berberine or oregano oil. So, like I told you guys, every morning, first thing I have ginseng and I have yellow dog combined together as a drink. And it's really bitter, but I know it's good for energy. It's good for my liver, so that's why I consume it. So these are adaptogens that can be really helpful to help your body to adapt to stress. You also have adaptogenic mushrooms, like, for example, mushroom coffee, mushroom matcha. These all contain mushrooms that are adaptogens. So adaptogens can either be herbs or mushrooms. And so mushrooms, you have reishi mushroom, you have lion's mane, you have turkey tail, you have cordyceps. So there's many different kinds of mushrooms that are adaptogens. That's why people consume mushroom coffee or mushroom matcha. And if you want to get a mushroom powder to add to smoothies or to yogurt, you can if you want to switch to mushroom coffee or matcha. I do like the brand Ohm. My mom likes the brand Rise. And the brand Four Sigmatic is also a really good brand as well. And it also counts towards your plant diversity. So, some other things to consider outside of herbs is that some infections can persist not because herbs don't work, but because bacteria are protected by biofilms. And I actually read a really good post on Threads on explaining what a biofilm is. I'm going to look for really quickly and read to you guys what it says on what biofilm is so you have a better understanding of that. Where is it? Okay, so this post says Candida overgrowth is not a yeast infection, that is the symptom. Candida overgrowth is a biofilm, which is a structured colony that builds a protective matrix around itself and resists everything you throw at it. This is why people treat Candida for months, feel better, then relapse the moment they stop. The biofilm survived. Yes, BV is also biofilm driven, which is why antibiotics clear it temporarily, but it comes back. Gardnerella builds the same kind of protective matrix, which is what causes biofilm BV, like the BV resistant that is resistant to medications. The gut microbiome is directly connected to because low lactobacillus in the gut often mirrors low lactobacillus vaginally. And so this page is called Gut Herbal Med on Threads, and they refer to themselves as the Mediterranean Herbal. So I think they're an herbalist. But the post continues with saying biofilm disruption requires compounds that penetrate the protective matrix, which is the biofilm, not just to kill the surface organism. So oregano oils, carvacrol penetrates biofilm structure, so that's the active ingredient in oregano oil. Caprylic acid from coconut oil disrupts the membrane integrity of biofilm colonies. Caprylic acid, they have it in supplement form as well, but it's mainly in coconut oil, which is why coconut oil is great for vaginal health. Berberine, which is used in North African and Eastern Mediterranean herbal medicine for centuries, also interferes with biofilm formation itself. And the dietary piece that matters here, it says that biofilm feeds on sugar of all forms. During the clearing phase, starving the colony while simultaneously disrupting its structure, which is the biofilm, is what separates a partial clear from a full one. So these two things must happen at the same time. Candida protocols fail most often because they stop at clearing and never complete the rebuild. So in my Vag Reset program, what we do is I have a 3-part phase protocol that I do with my clients. Um, I lost my notes here. So I focus on one, opening up the drainage pathways and doing lymphatic drainage. Then I focus on killing and clearing microbes with herbs and enzymes. Then I focus on restoring the balance. So we don't just clear and kill things off, we also restore balance. So that's also really important to keep in mind. So a cleared gut with no good bacteria to fill the space will recolonize with whatever is available, oftentimes the same bad organisms that cause you to get the reoccurring vaginal infections to begin with. So that breaks down the biofilms. And so if your vaginal microbiome is having recurring vaginal infections and not going away, you may have a biofilm. And so on my full script storefront, I do have the biofilm disruptor that I use. It has nattokinase and serrapeptase, which are two enzymes that work to kill the biofilm, but they only work if you do it on an empty stomach an hour before your meals, because otherwise, if you do it too close to your meals, it's going to break down your food and not the biofilm. So, in my free vaginal healing supplement guide, it has the supplement in there and it has a link to get it because for some reason the supplement is not available online. It's only available on FullScript. So if you download my free vaginal healing supplement guide, you can actually get the biofilm buster on there and it tells you how to take it. Something else to keep in mind is that if your diet is off, the herbs will feel like they're not working. So herbs work in combination with a healthy diet, a healthy lifestyle, not just the herbs by itself. So keep that in mind. So I'm going to be releasing more episodes on how to eat for recurring vaginal infections, but I do have some episodes already, and I have some TikTok videos and YouTube videos on how to eat for recurring vaginal infections. So check those out. Also, keep in mind that your partner's microbiome can influence yours. So make sure that your partner also has a healthy diet, a healthy lifestyle, they're hydrating well, they're consuming probiotics and prebiotic rich foods, and they also can incorporate herbs into their routine as well. If your partner is a male, then some herbs are better benefited for men than for women. And like for example, raspberry leaf and nettle tea is good for both genders, but it's better for women specifically. Um, and then also keep in mind you have pantry herbs like ginger, turmeric, and garlic. For anyone who does my programs, you guys know that I always require a ginger turmeric shot every single day for immune support. And so you don't have to start with expensive tinctures or supplements or herbs. The healing can start literally in your kitchen with what you already have. Um, and just to close out this episode with some safety precautions, if you're taking medications, always check for herb drug interactions because there are herbs that can interact with drugs. So always check for that. always speak with a doctor who is knowledgeable on herbs. If your doctor is not knowledgeable on herbs, they'll just tell you no overall because they don't know it, they don't know about it, and they don't want to risk their license or risk anything. So they may tell you no. So doctors who are more so to be knowledgeable on herbs would be like functional medicine doctors or naturopathic doctors, traditional Chinese medicine doctors, Ayurvedic medicine doctors. So keep that in mind, but always speak with a doctor that's knowledgeable on herbs before taking any. Always check for herb drug interactions. If you're pregnant, always make sure that the herb you want to take is safe during pregnancy, and also the quality matters. So for me, I got my herbs from two different websites. I'll put them down below. One of the websites gave me a code for my audience to get 10% off. The other one I have not contacted for a code. But I'll put those links down below for those two websites. Make sure that you're getting herbs from a trusted source. I don't trust getting things off of Amazon because there's lots of fake products on Amazon, lots of low quality herbs, lots of fake herbs. And if herbs are not bought from the right source, they can be really high in contaminants, they can be high in lead, they can be high in mold. So make sure that you have a trusted dealer for your herbs. So that's basically it for this episode. I hope this gave you guys a really good breakdown on herbs, on vaginal health, how to use herbs for vaginal health, how to use herbs in combination with a healthy lifestyle, a healthy diet. Because healing isn't about finding the perfect herb, it's also about becoming the woman whose body is supported through nutrition, lifestyle, herbs, regulated and also resilient to prevent recurring vaginal infections and to heal the body from recurring vaginal infections. So, I hope this helps. Also, guys, if you want to learn more about herbs, I recommend working with an herbalist. Maybe there's different kind of herbalists, like there's clinical herbalist, there's community herbalist. The lady I'm going to link down below, her website is called Vita Natural Co. She's an herbalist, so you can check her out if you want. But otherwise, that's pretty much it for today's episode. So yeah, I intend that this helped you all, and that's it. Bye, everyone.